freshening up on all of my study time. So I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to just come on in and get situated. Welcome to At the Willow Tree, where we spend intentional time reading a devotion together and reading a chapter out of Psalm so that we can dive in and spend intentional time with the Lord. And so that's what the Willow Tree is all about. It's just a place. I love willow trees. They're so beautiful and they have a romantic feel to them as well. And there's something just serene about the branches just flowing and peace. So we'll give everyone a few minutes to come on in and get situated. Good morning, Robin. I am brushing up on my Bible Hub. So how are you doing? Did you sleep well last night? I hope you did. Hmm. I'm just giving everyone a few minutes to come on in. And I was finishing up looking at all of the chapter ahead of time. I slept really, really good. I've been going to bed pretty well. I stayed on a little bit, but um, once Dylan got off, I was like done for the day. Um, so anyway, so I was done for the day after that, and I just went to sleep, and I slept really good. So I was excited about that. I am pulling all this up in on my Bible Hub, so I'm like seeing all the Hebrew, and it's so cool because um, whenever I do this, it gives other. Oh, the weather is like beautiful. We had one of the most beautiful days yesterday, weather-wise, than we've had in a really long time. It was such a beautiful day. It was not too I always carry um like a jacket or something over um my initial shirt. I always layer because it can be warm outside, but then when you go inside somewhere, it's cold. And so it was a really beautiful day. And me and my hubby, we went out in the afternoon to run errands and have a lunch date. So it was a really good day. We had a really great conversation, and there are a lot of things coming up, and we're just praying for clarity in what steps we need to take next um, with our house. Um, if we need to be making the decision to move, and if we do, what that looks like, and just all kinds of things. So that's what we're looking at right now, um, as far as all that's concerned. But overall, it was a really pretty day. And it looks like it's going to be pretty today, too. It says it's 58 and sunny. Good morning, Ashley. So it says it's 58 and sunny. So I don't know if that's the high or if that's just what it is now. But it's so pretty outside. I see the sun peeking through the window over there. All right. Well, we're going to dig in, and I think more people will come along the way. Robin, did you watch the podcast or listen to the podcast? Ashley, same question. Did y'all watch or listen to the JWLKRS podcast. Oh my gosh. I was able to link it in my description yesterday. And so that way, as soon as my live stream processed, it went through. It wasn't not amazing. I'm telling you, it is awesome. I felt so bad for Allie because she looked so tired last night and just like she said, like totally checked out. So yeah, it was amazing. Colby is like, I love getting to see Colby in that like mode, because something else that you just don't expect comes out of Colby when he's talking about God, and I love it. At conference, he was like one of my favorite people. He would like, do any of them sleep? I don't know. I think that's why everybody functions on coffee so much, and they depend on coffee so much. And yeah, they do all look like that. I mean, they've been adding so many people to recapture, and depending on who's bringing those people in, like who the agents are, then they're training and they're teaching, and then you've got the worship aspect, and then they released the lyric video last night too, In the Presence. Beautiful. It was beautifully shot. And then Oz said that the music video is coming out next week, and so there's so many moving pieces going on. And so I think that's why me and a couple others get so protective when people make comments like, why is Austin not posting content like vlogging? But I think that's why they're doing it on Allie's channel, so that it can free Austin up to do the other things that he needs to do right now. So, but like he said to Anna last night, like just making sure that he gets sleep, and at 11 o'clock, okay, we need to call it, and just everybody just encouraging him to call it so that he can get some sleep, because by the time I know by the time I take a shower and I do half decent devos, I'm gonna be 45 minutes in, like minimum. So especially considering how deep Oz can get it when it comes to the word, and how much things like speak to him even more so. And so I'm really, really, really praying that God just give him strength right now. Yes, Maria, they've all been so busy, and just giving that grace, like to just be and not be pressured to perform for us. It's the whole dance monkey dance, like the entitlement that I struggle with a lot, because a lot of us we really do feel like they're family. And so it's like, like that's my little brother. Although, since we call him dad and we call Allie mom, I was teasing Dylan and Lauren about being Uncle D and Auntie Lauren, and she seemed to like that. I pray my girls find an Oz-League relationship if the Lord ain't coming back by then. Yeah, I mean, I encourage the boys to be very much gentlemen in court, and we just don't date to date. But that's me, because I think that intentionality is so important in those things. So, but anyway, all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started with day 52 in our devotion. And did anybody look at it ahead of time? I haven't. Once I post, I kind of like get off so I can do my, run my to-do list of things and make sure that I'm being faithful. So, did you guys read it ahead of time? Have y'all seen it? If not, it's not a big deal. Like, I'm not trying to guilt anybody. I was just curious. It's so good. This is like one of my favorite topics, but it's also coincidentally, it's something that I struggle with myself. But it's something that I have a really big. I feel like I've been encouraging like young people on for a really long time. Okay. Today's devotion is called Never Forget Who You Are. The verse is out of Judges 6:15, and it says, Lord, Gideon replied, how can I rescue Israel? My clan is the weakest of the whole tribe of Manasseh, and I am the least of my entire family. And here's our love letter. Beloved, I see you as you actually are, not as you think you are. No matter how small you feel, I don't see you that way. You never need to worry about what you're not, because my power is displayed best in your weakness. Don't allow insecurities to keep you from letting me do great things in and through you. You are a trophy of my grace. I love you, and I have called you to do great and mighty things. Never forget who you are, the daughter or son of the King of Kings and Lord of all lords. Love your Heavenly Father. Our reflection says, no matter how small we feel, the truth is that we serve a very big God. Our feelings can never change how powerful God is or who we are called to be, heroes of faith. And our treasure of truth says, in God, we can become everything He calls us to be. So, I used to, for about a decade, I was a youth leader, and I love teenagers. That is like my group of people. They really are like my favorite group of individuals in life because there's so much curiosity. There's so much trying to figure out life and expectation that's put on teenagers to have it figured out. You know, we have youth in high school, and parents ask their kids all the time, what do you want to be? Or people are asking, what are your plans after you graduate? There's all this pressure to have all of these answers figured out, when in reality, we as adults are still figuring it out. And so I love teenagers. I love the vulnerability of that group of in stage of life. And one of the common things that I used to talk, especially to the girls, about was worth and value. There were a lot of times when I used to tell them all the time, the Mona Lisa is not valuable because it's the Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa is valuable because of the artist attached to the painting itself. Because Leonardo da Vinci painted her, and his name is attached to the painting. That is why it is so valuable. If it was some person that was ever unheard of in a basement somewhere, we wouldn't even know what it is, and nor would we associate a lot of value to it. But because it is attached to a great artist, it has great value. And likewise, so are we. We allow a lot of times for the world and even ourselves to assess a value on ourselves that is less than. And then a lot of times we associate, well, if I feel that way about myself, then God must feel that way about myself. We put that, our own feelings of our self-worth and our self-value, on God as if He's assigned that value when He never did. And so I used to tell them all the time, no one has the right to associate your value and state what your value is but God. Because He is your designer. He is your creator. And only He gets to decide what that value is. What the value of and worth of who you are really is. And so this morning I was praying and I was like, Lord, like, just show me new things about value. And it's so interesting because I'm about to tattle on myself. So somebody is coming to visit us in the next couple months. My husband told me not to plan anything around a certain time for the month of June because someone is coming to see us. And I didn't know who that person was. He's telling me that it's a surprise. He's not going to tell me who it is. And so he started teasing me. He's like, well, maybe it's Austin and Allie. And I was like, Austin and Allie are not coming to see me. And he's like, well, why not? And I made that statement out of my own value, even though I know that that is not going to happen. Like they're traveling a lot this year, and I know those things. They're not taking time out of their schedule to come see me. But the reason why I say that is because I struggle with value myself. This is Austin and Allie we're talking about. There's no way they're going to come see me. They're not coming all the way to Texas to see me and spend time with me. As if I'm less than. It's not that I'm less than, but it's just like understanding. But that was the first place that I went to. And even my mother-in-law, she checked me. She said, and why did you say that? And, so we went through the whole thing. But a lot of times what we do is we compare who we are to other people. We associate our value, our worth, our how big or small we think we are in comparison to other people that the world considers great, right? Kind of like Ashley, when you like it seriously made me laugh out loud when you said, I feel like I'm sitting at the cool kids table when you found out that Austin was a part of JWLKRS. And to them, like, that's just weird because they're just who they are. But to us, we associate a higher value. We put a higher value on who we think other people are. Girl, you were checking me. I was, because this whole idea of, well, I can't talk to that person because, like, I'm just me. Like, there's nothing really important about me. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the Lord checked me on that a couple weeks ago when I said that. Why do you think that you're so, like, your value is any less important than anyone else? Why is that your go-to? Why do we as people, and like I said, I'm telling on myself, associate our value with people that we consider more successful? We put people on shelves and pedestals and levels of greatness, and then we compare ourselves to that. And so we're like, oh no, not little me. Well, that's ridiculous, because most of the time that's not even what other people are thinking. Other people do this, are those people are doing the same thing for other people. And so we constantly do that. And the problem that with that is that then we put that value that we assign to ourselves on God, as if he assigned that value to us, and he never did. He never said, you're not as great as so and so. We just see ourselves like that, and then we associate ourselves as, oh, well, I could never do something as great as they're doing because this person is doing, or that person is doing, because I'm just me. But little do we know, those same people that we look up to feel the same way. They struggle with the same things. This is a common misconception. This is a common struggle that kind of like everyone has in common, that we feel confident in our relationship with God. But when you ask how great you are, nobody really feels like they're all that great. Nobody really understands. And I mean, there's parts of that that's good because there's humility in that, but at the same time, that's not. Because then we respond to God as if he's done that, and he never did. And so when God looks at you, this is what I wrote down this morning. When God looks at you, he sees his child and the opportunity to show his greatness despite your weaknesses. It says right here that don't allow your insecurities to keep you from letting me do great things in and through you. Don't allow for your own personal insecurities to hold you back. Um, and then I also wrote, don't place limitations on God and what he can't do in and through you because you see yourself as insignificant. He never called you insignificant. Um, there is this thing of you were worthy enough for him to send his son to die. He thought that your relationship with him, he wanted it so badly that even you, when Jesus was on the cross, were being thought of. And um, he wouldn't do that for something that is small in value. You would never send your most beloved treasure to redeem something of small value. You do it to raise the value and to place a high value on someone. And so, as God's children, we are assigned a high value. We are a royal child of God. And our daddy God is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He created everything in existence. Everything in nature was created by him, and including ourselves. And so, why would he create us if he didn't think that we were worth the effort? Why would he send his son to redeem us if we weren't worth the effort? We were worth it enough for the redemption. And so we need to really check ourselves. And again, this is a check to myself. Stop associating your value, Ashley, in comparison to other people. Don't do that. And that's why I told you, Ashley, like, I think this was specifically for you, because yesterday, like, that was so off the wall. Just saying, I love you so much, but that was so off the wall. The whole idea of, like, if you're not in live, I'm not going to go in. Why? Like, I go into Dylan's live not knowing if Crystal's going to go in or not. And, you know, and just be yourself. Like, I'm getting the more comfortable that we get with the people around us, the more open we get and the more us we will become. And so that I can understand, but not going in at all. If God's blessed you with community and God's bringing this community to you, like, be a part of community. Like, that is how we show gratitude to God for what he's blessed us with. If he's blessed my life with Robin and Maria and Crystal and yourself. He's blessed my life with these connections. We got to celebrate Mav's birthday yesterday. That was a huge deal. And she's been somebody that's been so sweet to me since I came in. And she was the first person at a conference to say, hey, hi, my name's Jenny, and then explain that she's Mavs. And so she was so sweet and so loving, and she's been so kind. And we missed out on an opportunity to show gratitude towards God for the gifts and blessings of community that he's bringing to us. It's like I told Dylan yesterday when he talked about getting in community. Like, community is important, and you've got to associate yourself with like, good people. And I told him, I said, yeah, like I said, I feel the same way about all of y'all, because there have been times in my life where I did not have community or did not feel like I had really strong community. But I truly feel like I have met some of the best people, and I've made amazing connections and friendships from individuals in this group. But it required me to step outside of my box. I'm going to tell you, when I have girl nights, and I just posted yesterday that we're going to have our first one back this Saturday. That required me to step out of my comfort zone. And you have to step out of your comfort zone to grow. So if God is leading you into new areas, like we were talking about yesterday, refining us, he's going to need you to step out in boldness in other areas before he can trust you with boldness in ministry. You know what I mean? So, but I've met some of, like, my like Crystal is one of my best friends, and I talk to her on a daily. She had me rolling yesterday after live stream. So it's one of those things that we have to be willing to step outside of our comfort zone and allow God to be the one that assigns our value, and place our confidence in the Lord. Place the confidence in the fact that if the Lord is assessing and saying that you are valuable, and what does that you say? Life may knock you down, but get yourself up, dust off your knees, and adjust your crown. When you sign the adoption papers and you come in adoption with God as his child, he places a crown on your head because you are now a royal child of God. You belong to his kingdom. And as such, there is a great value placed on your life. And so we need to maintain our confidence in our relationship with God and who he's calling us to be, and allow ourselves to be uncomfortable and know that in that uncomfortability, we are going to grow. And so I never would have been able to do this if I didn't host girls' night for the first time. And the first time, I didn't invite everybody. I invited 4 people. I invited 3 people, and then one invited another, and she's become one of my good friends too. So in the beginning, it was just like, I didn't want to open it to everybody. I just wanted to open it to the ones that had reached out to me. So Crystal, Amanda, and Kayla. And then Amanda asked if she could invite Jennifer Lyra, who comes in here all the time and listens on her way to work. And so she did, and we had our first couple of girl nights with just the 4 of them. And then we opened it up to everyone. And we gained Gloria. We've gotten to meet Joanna Russell. She's come in a few times. And so we've gotten to know other people. But I never would have been able to do this if I didn't take a step of faith and put myself out there and allow myself to be uncomfortable. And so as we grow, as our confidence grows, like God is displayed in all of it. This is because of God. This is not because of Ashley. This is because of God working in and through my life. I can only come and do this because of God. I can't take credit for any of this. And so, but, you know, that's just how I am, guys. And that's just how God feels about us. So don't allow for your feelings. One of the best parts of this that stood out was our feelings can never change how powerful God is or who we are called to be. If God's calling you to something great, it's going to require you to grow, and your value is going to have to rest in him, especially if you are stepping into an area that involves people and the public, because the public will try to assign a value to you that is less than, because they feel less than. That's why the enemy, the first thing he does is use people to attack your identity as a human being. And so we just want to make sure that we are maintaining and allowing God to assess our value, and we're only taking in what God says about who we are and not other people. So that was the devotion for today. We're going to shift over to Psalm 52. Yesterday was pretty heavy just because it was talking about sin and the severity of sin and the seriousness of sin. And God reminded us to take it seriously because he takes it seriously, because the cost of sin was great and the cost to redeem it was even greater. So today we are reading Psalm 52. And this says, regarding the time that Doeg, the Edomite, said to Saul, David has gone to see Ahim, Amalek, Ahimelech. Um, this is when Saul was out to harm David, and Saul had spies everywhere. And so one of his spies went and told Saul, this is where David's gone. And so this is a response to that. It says, why do you boast about your crimes, great warrior? Don't you realize God's justice continues forever? All day long you plot destruction. Your tongue cuts like a sharp razor. You're an expert at telling lies. You love evil more than good, and lies more than truth. You love to destroy others with your words, you liar. But God will strike you down once and for all. He will pull you from your home and uproot you from the land of the living. The righteous will see it and be amazed. They will laugh and say, look what happens to mighty warriors who do not trust in God. They trust in their wealth instead and grow more and more bold in their wickedness. But I am like an olive tree, thriving in the house of God. I will always trust in God's unfailing love. I will praise you forever, O God, for what you have done. I will trust in your good name, in the presence of your faithful people. So let's kind of like dig into this. He is talking about Doeg, right? He's talking, again, this is in response to his spying, okay, to Doeg spying for Saul. And so he's saying, do you not realize that God's justice continues? That word justice means goodness, which is chesed in Hebrew, and it means loving kindness and redemption from sin. That continues. And so why are you boasting like about your evil? Why are you boasting about the things that you're doing that's wrong? In Hebrew, it says, why do you boast in evil, mighty man? The goodness of God continually endures. Destruction devises your tongue like a sharp razor, working deceitfully. You love evil more than good, lying rather than speaking righteousness. You love all words, devouring your tongue deceitfully, your deceitful tongue. Likewise, God shall destroy you forever. He shall take you away and pluck you out of your dwelling place and uproot you from the land of the living. And the righteous shall see and fear him. And shall see the righteous fear and laugh at him, saying, here is the man God did not, here is the man God did not who did not make God his strength, but trusted in the abundance. So let me do it. Here is the man who did not make God his strength, but trusted in the abundance of his riches and strengthened himself in his wickedness. Yesterday we've been talking about that. And even in our devotion today, talking about like not forgetting who you are and value. What do you say about yourself? Is what you're saying about yourself rooted in truth, or is it rooted in deceit? Because that's definitely a way for God to check us on what's coming out of our mouth. We could be deceiving ourselves by what we're feeding, because we're feeding on the lie, and we continually tell ourselves, you're really not all that great. You really aren't this amazing human being. Well, you may not be, but I am being refined by God. And I'm still at the end of the day a child of God. Um, the man who did not make God his strength. Do we make God our strength that we run to? Do we trust in him, or do we trust in ourselves to do like to do it in and of ourselves, to trust in our own abundance? Um, that's so weird. I'm hearing a noise outside, like a radio. It's weird. It's creeping me out a little bit. Um, but I am like an olive tree, green in the house of God. I trust in the mercy of God forever and ever. And we saw that yesterday when he said, um, restore me to the joy of your salvation and make me willing to obey you. He's trusting that God will forgive him. He put his trust in God's loving kindness, unfailing love, and mercy. And he wants us to do the same. I will praise you forever because you have done it. And I will wait on your name, for it is good in the presence of your saints. That is how it ends. So are we trusting in God, our history with God? Are we trusting in his unfailing love? Are we trusting in him, or are we trusting in ourselves? Because when we start trusting in our own ability to do things, and we trust in our own ability to make things happen, we fall short every time. Good morning, Solace, or good afternoon. It's like almost evening time there. Where you are. Do we trust in God, or are we putting are we stacking it against ourselves? Like our ability to have success or greatness, and then that greatness, what is that in comparison to? Is that in comparison to the way the world sees greatness, or is that in comparison to the way God sees greatness? And so we see this connectedness in from our devotion into this. Like, if we're not careful, we will speak lies about who we are, and we will believe them. And then we're being deceitful because we're deceiving ourselves. We're not resting in God. We're not depending on him to assign our value and to bring the things in our life that we need. We're resting in our own ability to do so, or to make our self or our name great, instead of allowing him to do that. And that puts us in this wrong category. He says up here in the beginning, destruction devises your tongue. Destruction, it means hava. It is desire, chasm, destruction. What are we desiring? What are the things that we are pursuing? Is it pursuing things that, are we being self-destructive? If we are, then we are in this group. Why do you boast about your crimes? Why do you boast about the fact that, like, this reminds me of like people who like when they go out and party, or they go out and drink, or they go out and do things, they participate in things that are worldly, they post about it and they brag about the fact that they're out having a good time. Why are you bragging about that? You're sinning, and you're bragging about the fact that you're sinning and doing wicked. You're participating in wickedness. You love evil more than good. Like, guys, like, that's a big deal. And that evil can be misery, anything that's displeasing to the Lord. Like, you crave what's displeasing to him and satisfying your own desire more than you do doing things that are good and seeking righteousness. seeking God's righteousness. And so what are we resting in? What are we speaking about ourselves? What are we speaking about other people? To other people? You love to destroy others with your words. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. We have the ability to bless and we have the ability to curse. And God takes it seriously what we say. He was able to speak and make things happen. And if we're not careful, we will speak curses over people just because we can. Well, they made me mad. Okay, well, just because I made you mad, like, is that what, like, we make Jesus mad, we make God mad, we frustrate them. Do they just curse us? No. Jesus still came and died for you, even though you were still far off. Even though you were still far off, Christ came and died for us to redeem. And so what are we doing? Like, are we following that, or are we following what we want to do? Well, they made me mad, so I'm just going to say, this about them and shut them up. Why? It doesn't add anything to you. It's not going to change what they said. So we've got to be really careful of our words, because our words are very damaging. And we read about that yesterday, or 2 days ago, I think it was, where we talked about harming people with what we say. That's that part. Your mouth hurting others. That was in Psalm chapter 50. That was part of the group of people that get judged by God if they don't repent for it. And so where are we putting ourselves in the category when it comes to our relationship with God? We need not to be quick to judge others. It's true. Like, I heard someone say something that I really disagreed with. And it was a believer. They were saying that. Now, I will tell you, I did not agree with elevation not using words like a resurrection, or the blood of Jesus, or the cross, or any of those things in their Easter stuff. I didn't agree with that, because I feel like you're shying away from it, like you're more concerned about bringing people in than you are about speaking truth. And you have to be careful of that, especially as a shepherd. And so I saw someone respond to that, and they were like, how Stephen Furtick said, we aren't here for, we're here for the sick. And he's like, that's what evangelism's for. The church is here for believers. That's not true. Jesus did not come to save. We are here to bring salvation and the gospel to the community that God has placed us in. That is the Great Commission. That is our assignment. Period. It is not, yes, we encourage with our words, and yes, we're supposed to edify one another. And the believers did come together. I'm not saying that. But the believers also went out and shared the gospel together. And they ministered to people in the community together. And this whole idea, the church is supposed to be for the sick. The church is supposed to be full of people that can come in. If you're a prostitute, if you're a drug dealer, if you're just someone that gossips, or you're just someone that's going through a hard time, that's having a difficult time, the atheist, the agnostic, the Muslim, no matter who you are or where you come from, if you do not know Jesus, we are supposed to have an open door to you. And so this whole idea of, no, we're there for ourselves. No, we're not. No, we're not. That's not what we're there for. We're there to serve as a hospital for those who need the doctor. And that great physician, Jesus said, I didn't come, I came for the sick. So what makes us think that when we gather in our church, we're supposed to be here for the healthy? We're not. Do we disciple? Yes. Discipleship should be a big part of what the church is doing. Because sheep need to grow. They need to mature from lamb into sheep. But this whole idea of like, we're here to serve our, like, no, we're here for the sick. You and I are here on assignment for the sick, to point them to the great physician who can heal, who can redeem, and who can save their life. And so you don't know why that girl's a prostitute. You don't know why that guy is a drug dealer. You don't know. And if we're so quick to judge, then we're supposed to be slow to speak, slow to get angry. Where's the empathy? Where's the compassion? You don't know the trauma that they went through. Maybe what they're doing is acting out of trauma. Well, are you going to bring the one that can heal their trauma? Or are you going to sit there and judgment like the Pharisees and judge them like you're on some moral or spiritual high horse? So what are we doing? What are we doing? That person that's living in sin. We better be careful about plank meeting speck. Because just because you don't recognize your sin and acknowledge it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And so anything outside of the word is sin. And so we need to be really cautious about how quick we are. I'm telling y'all right now, if I'm around people who are judgmental, I'm not going to talk to them about what I'm going through. I'm not going to talk to them about life. And I'm going to distance myself from judgmental people, because I don't want any of that filtering into the way that I respond to people myself. Nor would I want them, if they're judging other people, then they're going to judge me behind my back. It reveals your character. So again, what do we speak over people? So it's a great reminder. What do we speak over people? And what do you speak about yourself? I'm not going to allow, I'm just going to tell y'all right now, like, y'all can always come and talk to me, but about anything. I have an open door when it comes to that stuff. But if you start talking negatively about yourself, I'm going to refer you back to what the word says about who you are. The word says that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We were knit in our mother's womb. That before he even set the foundations of the earth were set, that you were created, everything, all things were created by and for him. Not for yourself, for him. And so, what is the truth about who you are? If God, I'm awkward, but so are a lot of people. I'm naturally introverted. So are a lot of people. And you find a lot more connections and things that you have in common with individuals when you stop looking at yourself and you pull yourself away and you look at other people. If you become others focused, then you're not worried about what people are thinking about you, because the only thing you're worried about is what God thinks of you. I heard this thing, I'm not sure if I shared this with y'all, about someone asking Brandon Lake, have you ever asked God what he thinks about you? Why does the idea, and he said, that terrified me. Why? Because we see ourselves as so insignificant. And we think that that's how God sees us too. But if we actually sat and did that, what would God say about you? There are a lot of things. And so I did that myself. Like, God, what do you really think about me? And y'all, when I tell y'all, I was a wreck. Um, because a lot of times what we think God thinks about us, he doesn't think about us at all. He thinks you're precious. He thinks you're his daughter or his son if you're watching this and you're a guy. He thinks that God would not send his most beloved for trash. So why do we act or speak about ourselves as if we are? And I know I'm kind of backtracking back onto our devotion, but we deceive ourselves and then we allow that deceit to flow out of our mouth, and we speak lies about ourselves and then we believe them. We consume them. Like I said, I've been guilty of doing that too, and associating, oh, well, this person's like a greater human being than I am. Why? Instead of just saying, you know what? They're awesome. Like, I love what they're doing. I love how God's using them. And I just want to pray blessing over them. And I just want to focus on the fact that, like, God uses us so uniquely. And all of our journeys are so beautiful and specific to who we are. And God didn't want to create a bunch of copies. He wanted to create individual relationships. And so we need to be cautious of that. Look at the disciples. Look at how many different personalities they had. There were so many different personalities in that group of people. We're much harder on ourselves than our Father is, and we don't realize it. It's true. Even like I noticed something today in the verse of the day when I was writing down the verse of the day. Um, it was Ephesians 6:13 and 14. And it said, stand your ground, putting on the belt of truth and the body armor of God's righteousness. The belt of truth secures your armor in place. And it's not our righteousness, it's God's righteousness. That is our armor. So that when God looks at us, he doesn't see our righteousness, he sees his. He sees the righteousness of his son that's covered us. For shoes, put on the peace that comes from the good news. Like, there's peace in the good news. What is the good news? That while we were still yet sinners, Christ died for us. That's the good news. That's the hope. That's the peace that we can rest in. Is that if we've accepted the gift of adoption and become a part of God's family, there is peace in that. God's righteousness will protect and cover us. But we have to secure the belt of truth so that the armor stays in place. And a lot of times, truth is the last thing that we put on instead of the first thing. There's a reason why that was the first thing mentioned. So, I love you guys. That's all I have for you today. Again, if you want to be in prayer for anything, if you need prayer for anything, just let me know. And then also, as far as I'm concerned, if you guys would be praying for clarity and guidance and direction as far as like where we go forward, not with this, but with our home and what that looks like, that would be great. I would really appreciate it. I love you guys so much. I will be praying for you today and throughout the day. And I love you guys. And I will see you back tomorrow at the Willow Tree. Bye, guys. Miss Dakota. What's wrong with Dakota? You know what? Just message me about it. Love y'all.